How would you categorize this game?
Well, it's the only game they can focus on this week. Obviously, they need help, the Stampeders do, in order to host a playoff game, but they can't have that mindset going into this game because the other stuff that's happening in Vancouver and Edmonton this weekend is completely out of their control. All they can do is focus on the task at hand, and that's the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who tied for part of that five-way logjam for the best record in the CFL. So that speaks in and of itself of the importance of this game.
Who are you going to key on as you watch this game?
Well, John Cornish has just been a fascinating story these last 6 weeks since he took over the starting job from Joffrey Reynolds, and really this is his last chance to kind of sway the voters for what I believe is the right choice of making him the outstanding Canadian in the West Division. I think he's been a superior player to Jerome Messam up in Edmonton, and he's proven it ever since he got the starting job. He was doing those kind of things before he got the starting job, and this is a team that I believe the Stampeders can run on. The Bombers have a great passing defense, there's no question about it, but I think they take a lot of chances with that passing defense at times, and there's holes I believe that can be had in that front seven, and John Cornish and it looks like LaMarcus Coker will get back in the lineup, and I think the Stampeders can run the football, and in fact they need to run the football to beat that team.
Big game for Nick Lewis as well?
Well, he's coming off his first Most Outstanding Player nomination with the Stampeders, and probably was a little quieter than he'd hoped for in Montreal. Just the 3 catches in the game that he was going head-to-head against Jamel Richardson in. He always wants the football. I mean, every receiver wants the football, but I would expect that he will be a prominent part of this game plan, just to kind of finish off in style this year. He's just a catch short of matching his career high in receptions at 90. And, the Stampeders need him operating on all cylinders, obviously, going into the playoffs.
2 victories in a row for Drew Tate as the starting pivot. What do you expect from him?
Much the same thing. And, we talked about Montreal being a real test last week. This is, I believe, the gold standard for passing defense in the CFL right now. They put a lot of pressure on passers. Obviously, they have a great pass rush. They have a great secondary at Javon Johnson. This is a perfect way for Drew Tate to test himself and see where he's at. And, what he did in Montreal spoke for itself, didn't it? He looked very comfortable, looked very poised, not phased the least bit, and I thought he outplayed Anthony Calvillo, which is a no insignificant feat.
And this should be a Winnipeg Blue Bomber team that's a bit angry after letting a East Division final slip through their fingers.
Yeah, that was just a horrible game at home to Toronto last week, and the fact is that they won't have their starting quarterback. Buck Pierce is going to be sidelined with that sprained knee, so Alex Brink comes in, and I guess in some twisted way maybe that takes a little bit of the pressure off them because they don't have their guy with them, and maybe they don't have as high of an expectation as they would have with Buck Pierce in the lineup. But still, that's a good team. They have some good receivers. I like their running game now. I think Garrett is an upgrade over Fred Reed, quite honestly, and they're capable of playing some good football.
Have you seen it practice this week? A team that's focused on trying to win the West Division Championship?
Well, sure. I mean, that's the funny thing about this team. I've seen that all year, quite honestly. It just doesn't necessarily translate on the field on a regular basis. But what we saw in Montreal, I think, is the best sign of what this team is capable of. I mean, they were strong on defense. They shut down Brandon Whitaker. They made life tough for Anthony Calvillo. And really, Jamel Richardson was relatively quiet that game. So I liked what I saw in Montreal, and, it's carried over into practice this week.